Oh boy, we're doing Enter the Dragon. For those of you who've never seen Enter the Dragon before, it is a James Bond movie ripoff. Except this is starring Bruce Lee, which if we had a bunch of Bruce Lee Bond movies, shit. Not necessarily a tournament movie. It is a movie with a tournament in it. Mm-hmm. But we're going to talk about it. It was Jonathan's first time watching the whole movie, so let him have the floor.
Enter the Dragon is a movie I've definitely been aware of, and I've seen in bits and pieces throughout my life, but I've never sat down, watched the whole thing, start to finish. And I have missed out on my life. I have regrets.
So, all right. So let's start with best move. What's the best move in Enter the Dragon for you, Jonathan?
Oh boy. So there's so many.
If you got honorable mentions, bring them up.
Well, here's an additional thing though. Mm-hmm. There are so many good things in this movie that I'm hoping we don't have the same thing for any of these categories. Yeah. When Bruce Lee is attempting to escape the compound underground after
so his last infiltration.
Yes, his last infiltration, but it's not the climax. Right. The climax is the big
after.
Yeah, so he fights a lot of nameless henchmen dudes.
One of those
in this
is Jackie Chan, which y'all all probably know by now because Jackie Chan has mentioned it in all of his.
So he's fighting a whole bunch of henchmen, mm-hmm. and there's a moment where it's in the early parts of that infiltration attempt to escape.
Okay,
and he does this. I'm gonna get the name of the technique of the move wrong. But he does this 2-level kick.
Okay.
That is gorgeous. One of the small problems I have with this film is that there's a lot of knee up action.
There is a lot.
Even though they do a lot of low kicks, and so you can't always see not only foot placement for leaving the ground or doing a lot of the kick moves, but lower attacks you can't always see really well. It's
Bruce Lee.
Gorgeous.
Bruce Lee.
I like I said, I rewatched it 6 or 7 times. And again, I wasn't even checking for technique or nothing. I was just enjoying, oh man. And again, there were a lot of other ones, but the difficulty of that kick with how much of a delay there is in between both kicks, and it's 2 levels.
Yeah. And let me guess, even though I've seen this movie a million times, was there only one camera take?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How about that?
Oh yeah. No cutaway for this.
Okay. My best move is in the main event between Bruce Lee and Han.
Okay.
And it is when he's beating the shit out of Han in Han's trophy room, where he's got all his hands and shit. And,
I know. I think I know what you're saying.
And Han is getting up and he's a little bit weary.
Oh, I know.
And Bruce looks at him as if, I told your bitch ass to stay down, and kicks his head so hard it disappears out of the frame.
It's a mannequin.
And goes into the sequel. And there is no sequel.
It has to be a mannequin.
There's no way.
He nailed that stunt double, actor, mannequin, whatever it is.
He kicked it
so hard that the next Han wannabe is going to feel it. You could have replayed that at quarter speed and he still would have disappeared. I knew immediately when you were describing the scene, I knew immediately what it was.
Basically, he killed Han. Like, the fight should have been over.
It wasn't, but he should have been.
All right. Well, hey, if we got a best move, we got to have a worst move.
Yep.
What's the worst move? I'll go first. The worst move in Enter the Dragon is anytime they have Bruce Lee's character flip, because it's not him. And Bruce Lee does not need to flip.
I don't remember him flipping all that
Flips
much,
at the beginning when he's fighting Sammo Hung. And then he does when O'Hara catches his foot, he does a back and hits him.
I thought there was a cutaway there, and it looked awkward too. The camera. I thought that. I even tried to rewatch that, and
the guy tried his best to get Bruce Lee's movements down, but he was just a little too whimsical with his. Then years
Bruce
later,
Lee is
you
rigid
find
as
out
hell.
you find out that, well, and fluid, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
You find out. I found out later that it wasn't him, and it was like, well, that's why he looked kind of funny. But yeah, it's
okay.
Yeah. What you got?
Worst move. It's also in. It's the Han Bruce Lee fight.
Okay.
In the trophy room.
Okay.
Han is, as you watch, obviously way outmatched. The only reason Han's even still in this fight is his gimmicky prosthetic hand claws bit, and so Bruce Lee has to
fight around it.
Yeah. Anyway, so for whatever reason, there are these moments where in the fight Bruce Lee is beating the tar out of Han, and then they need to let Han do something. In between him beating the tar out of Han some more. So they're standing opposite each other, and the camera goes like down here to the ground, and they leap at each other in slow-mo,
Right.
like they're gonna do something, and all Bruce does is this,
Right.
slice open my stomach.
Yeah.
And it's not like Han catches, he's not even in the middle of any move.
Right.
At all. And
Right.
it looks... I don't understand. And what exacerbates the problem is so they've swapped sides, realizing that they both survived the contact that happened, and they do it again, and this time Bruce Lee knocks the daylights out of him with a flying kick that looks beautiful. And so...
Which should have killed him once again in that fight, yes.
So I think that makes the first pass worse, because it's obvious Bruce has no form. It doesn't even look like he's trying to attack. He's literally stabbed me. Yeah. And it just...
Agreed.
Bad.
Agreed.
I don't understand.
Agreed.
And I know he did the fight choreography for this, so that further puzzles me why he wouldn't at least make it look like he was trying something and Han just got a better angle on this. It's bad.
Yeah. There's a part in that fight where they're in the the room of mirrors, and Han is behind Bruce and he swipes him in the back. Why didn't you stab him? So
he does a lot of swiping. He doesn't do a lot of lunging.
Well,
now I don't know if that's story or just Han sucking.
Maybe it's the type of weapon he's using. It's not good for stabbing.
I know.
We can, you can try to back, whatever. All right. So then, best part of the movie.
Boy,
this might take a while.
You're up. There's a lot of good parts.
Yeah.
So the first part, my favorite, and it's just because it's fun. It's not. They're at the tournament, and as with almost any of these goofy tournament movies or serious tournament movies, whatever, the host always has a before we kill each other party.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And during during party. The host always shows up in dramatic fashion to introduce himself and what's going on. And Han is such this big dog alpha character that like everybody's around eating. There's a sumo demonstration going on in the middle on a platform. There's just all this stuff going on. And Han walks in and everybody stops breathing. But the way that it's the most obvious, the two sumos are in the middle of poses and freeze tag for the whole sequence of Han's bloviating, and he does lots of stuff. It's a long scene with Han out there, like 5 minutes, but they keep panning between a close-up of Han and then back to show, again, the impressiveness of the room, and you still see those, they have not moved. But as soon as he leaves, everyone synchronized starts moving like he hadn't even been there. And it was just so... I loved it. It was funny.
If I ever have an island,
all that stuff.
If I ever have an island and I have tournaments every once in a while, damn it, when I walk in the room, I want everybody to freeze.
Your sumos stop breathing for the entire 3 or 4 minutes.
Yes. I'm
and then pick right up like they didn't even stop. Right,
I'm gonna hire Ricochet from the AEW, WWF, and when he's in mid triple flip, I want his bitch ass to freeze.
Pause and
yep.
So that was there was a lot of them, but that's the first one I thought of. I was like, I know that's making my list.
Okay.
Because that was fun.
All right. We can go back and forth if you got more.
Yeah. No, you go.
I'm gonna start with the one that's on the bottom of my list and work my way to the top.
Okay.
Bottom of my list is going to be, I don't know, this tickles the hell out of me. Han's right hand female character is in charge of the ladies of the night.
Saisha or whatever her name is.
And she's in charge of the ladies of the night. These ladies of the night, she takes them to each fighter's room and is like, choose. But what's so funny about, what I thought was so funny and cute and adorable is there's this one, when she takes them to Roper's room, the camera lingers on all the girls coming in, and the last girl, as she closes the door, she's like, hi. And I just, I don't know.
I missed that completely.
And I don't know if it was improv or not, but it's so out of place. And I love it. I'm like, maybe you got the wrong job. Maybe, but yeah, anyway.
So again, this is the section, his second infiltration, and he's trying to escape fighting all the henchmen. He's stationary, and his body's coming at him, and he's disposing. And he's also showing off, as part of the fight choreography, his proficiency with all these different weapons.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a staff. He switches to kind of like tonfas, but not tonfas.
Right.
And then nunchucks. So Bruce Lee shows off his nunchuck foo.
Okay, this is not okay.
Right.
Okay.
And the guy is standing there. Bruce Lee just goes. The nunchuck work is fantastic.
Yeah.
Finishes, and the guy, this poor man, has to charge in and keep fighting, even though he picks up a bat from nowhere. It doesn't matter. And I loved the tenacity of this poor henchman. Watching not only all of his buddies get their asses beat, he gets disarmed, loses his weapon. Bruce Lee shows off with it, and then he's like, I don't care, I'm still going to fight you. And it was just really it's great.
He probably has to step over people just to get to Bruce Lee.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. My actual best part of the movie. Bruce Lee warming up is my best and favorite. It is the best part of the movie.
When he's in his room.
Yep. And O'Hara walks in and he says outside, and his foot is still up.
He rotates too. Oh man.
A lot of movies out nowadays have all these badasses in them, right? You see them getting all these fights, and it's like, you just can't do that. You can't just wake up and kick everybody's ass without tearing your hamstrings and you needing rest and relaxation, rehab. Bruce, especially in his last two movies, the ones he had the most control over, liked to show that, hey, real human beings need to be prepared to fight. Game of Death, I'm not counting Game of Death because he didn't get to finish it.
Right.
But in Return of the Dragon, you see him practicing all the time.
Yeah.
And Enter the Dragon, we get this scene, and I miss that stuff. And real legit people could do it in their movies. Van Damme could do it in his movies. Chuck Norris, all those guys. The reason why you don't see I like Keanu Reeves. The reason why you don't see Keanu Reeves and all these other guys doing scenes like this is because they can't pull it off. Unless it's choreographed to the nines. But like, I'm talking about by themselves against the air, just doing it. We've never seen John Wick do target practice, but we saw Dirty Harry do target practice. And I bring up the reason why I'll reference movies like John Wick and The Last Jedi is because if I reference movies that nobody knew, then I'd have to explain too much. If you got 4 movies in your series, can you train in one? Show me, that. Anyway, so that's the best part.
Nice.
Yeah.
My actual favorite thing about this movie is, and it kind of comes back to things we mentioned in the past, where our actors will be, the people involved in these stunts will be involved in something, and they come out of it looking perfect. And this movie is, they get like continuity. In mid-fight, there's bruises, and continuity. There's a fight. So again, as I mentioned, in one of Roper's gimme matches against a nameless person, he intentionally takes it on the chin several times as part of a con.
Yeah.
And then later in the movie, interacting with the characters, he's got a shiner that, you know, he's a playboy kind of guy, so he likes to dress up. So he's taking some care to not make it obvious, but you can see that there's still battle damage, wear and tear. They sweat. Oh my God, do they sweat?
Oh man.
All of that continuity and there's another honorable mention I almost fucking forgot to talk about attention to detail. So again, we're going back to the fight between Bruce Lee and Han.
All right.
And they're fighting, and Han runs behind a swiveling mirror door, right, to escape.
Yeah.
And it's to start the second phase of the fight where they fight in his mirror room.
The door has a spear in it.
So many times we see a hero chase a villain through unfamiliar territory, into blind spots, whatever, and there's virtually no hesitation. Whether it's, you know, bad acting or directing or arrogance of the character, doesn't matter. Bruce Lee's like,
oh, he pushed that door, and then he pulled his fingers back.
Yeah, he like barely pushes it, and then waits. And I just love the awareness of the character to, I don't know what's on the other side.
Right. Speaking of best parts, could have went with the soundtrack, but this movie is so good. The soundtrack is fantastic. This movie, it's
all of the sound.
Yeah.
All of the sound.
Worst part of Into the Dragon for me is the fact that Williams died. And I know someone had to go. But, you know, out of the three, Williams, Bruce Lee, and Roper, played by John Saxon, you know, I mean, Jim Kelly he was the only other one with the really, really good martial arts skill.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I'm not mad about it, but that's my worst part in the movie. At least he went out with a fight. He fought Han, you know, and he had the cool lines with "You come right out of a comic book," you know, and all that cool stuff. But yeah, that was my worst part. I wish he hadn't had to die.
We have the same thing.
Oh wow. Okay.
But for different reasons.
Okay.
I thought the fight was awful. The fight itself. Because, and to further emphasize so to your point, Williams is a badass of a character. He's good. I think Roper's good too. John Saxon, I think he's good. And of course, Bruce Lee is good. Williams got punked by Hans. Had the fight been good, I wouldn't have been nearly as bothered with Williams dying here. But I thought that the way that they handled Hans winning against what appeared to be a vastly superior opponent was just awful.
The fight changes when Williams kicks that metal hand, and that could have been more damage than maybe they portrayed on screen.
I'll give you that.
But at the same time, I'm not saying it's a good fight or anything like that. I just noticed that's when it switches. That's when the tide changes a lot, and he just starts hitting them with that metal hand a lot. But yeah, so for best line, what you got?
Out in the moonlight, baby. It's when
Jim Kelly?
It's when he's had his time with the ladies, and he wants to go outside for, you know, whatever, a breather or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, this is the rules. You can't. Where are you going? Why are you going outside?" And he just goes, "Out in the moonlight, baby." Okay. And it's just so smooth. Like this, if there's a knock, I have an additional kind of knock on this movie, and it feels like it's just because it's an older movie. It's dated. Dialogue isn't always great.
Oh, cheesy.
There's the dialogue, and it's not just, again, because we've also maybe got some people with accents or anything like that. The dialogue just isn't written crisply or flow well sometimes, and so some of the lines or some of the dialogue is just either campy or just doesn't land.
And we got bad actors in it too.
Yeah,
we do have bad actors in it.
But nearly everything Jim Kelly says is great.
Yeah,
he does a great job with like all his dialogue, and Roper works best with Kelly. Like Roper has some moments where John Saxon, I don't think he's solid line delivery wise, but whatever his chemistry was with Jim Kelly, they do great when they're on screen together. They do a great job.
Yeah, they seem like they're actual friends. In
Yeah.
real life, like.
But yeah, Williams is wanting to go outside, and the lady's going to stop him, and they're like, "Why do you need to go outside?" And he's like, "Out in the moonlight, baby." I just thought it was so smooth. I liked it.
I have 3, so I'll go through them real quick.
Yeah.
Honorable mention is when Han takes Roper down into the dungeon and he's showing him around, and Roper's like, "Oh, this is interesting. Oh, you got the," and then he sees the drugs and he goes, "Opium." Uh-oh.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh man, damn!
I know.
I'm back in the shit." And I already mentioned it earlier. You come right out of a comic book. I love that line.
Yeah.
But my best line is gonna be the
Don't concentrate on the finger, or you will miss all that heavenly glory.
that is. I know that the line from the movie is "boards don't hit back." That's cool. It's a great line, but I'm going with Heavenly Glory.
Boards don't hit back.
I'm going with Heavenly Glory. Best character in Enter the Dragon. Look, I'm not even going to try to go last or anything. I'm not going. This ain't no secret. No spoilers. Lee is the best character in the movie. Bruce Lee's character is the best character in the movie. You want a runner-up? For me, that's going to be Williams.
Yep. I mean, again, just so we don't have the same answer, I'm going to pick your runner-up as my favorite character, as Williams. Because, again, from an acting perspective, his line delivery was a little better, you know. And so there was, he had some really great lines on top of that. I agree. It's depending on what you want to pick. If you want to pick the titular character, or if you don't want the obvious option, second best is by far Williams. It's not even close.
If there are some Roper fans out there, Roper was awesome too. I
did like Roper as well.
Yeah.
I'm
a fan. He's just not going to be on my. I'm a fan of him. Yeah. Worst character. What you got?
Han.
Really?
Absolutely.
Explain.
So we have expounded a lot about the value, usually in bad movies, but the value of a villain with charisma and how much that can carry the villain's character, the plot, everything behind the movie. In some of our movies, we have charismatic villains that can also fight. Not necessarily the actor, but the character.
Right.
You know, like Bison can fight.
Bison
can fight, but Shang Tsung will fight.
Cannot. Right.
You know, everybody fights, and then when it comes, they have banter, they have charisma, they have something, and then when the climax happens, they have to fight the hero, and you can tell they can hold their own with the hero, right? But then you have movies like Double Dragon with Koga Shuko, who obviously has no business trying to fight maybe Jimmy Lee, but not Billy. and
flip it
whichever,
again. Because we always get it wrong.
Koga Shuko has the charisma to carry the fact that he needs the henchman. He needs everything. Yeah. Han is a character that's portrayed that needs all of the things to make him what he is. He needs the henchmen. He needs the bodyguards. He's got the prosthetic hand, which gives him, and it's interchangeable with things, and that gives him something. But I did not get the impression in this movie that his martial arts skill, even though he has them, because he's an ex-Shaolin monk, right? Studied at the temple, didn't really establish how long or why he got expelled, is irrelevant. Watching him, maybe this is a fault of a limitation, not a fault, a limitation of the actor. But watching him, I did not feel like, as I've already said, he could go toe-to-toe with any of our three main cast on his own. And so if you aren't going to be able to if you aren't going to be able to walk the walk, you better be able to talk the talk. And Han's charisma is non-existent in comparison to every villain that we reviewed in all of our other movies. And so the character as a villain falls flat for me.
Okay. My worst character is a character you would never guess. So, if you've ever been to a martial arts class, you got everybody in the class, and they're all doing the same thing because the teacher is telling them strike, Strike.
I know,
Strike.
I know
They
what
got
you're talking
one
about.
job.
I know what you're talking
And
about.
that job is to strike. And if you don't know what you're doing, damn it, look to the left and to the right. Because this guy's doing it right. That guy's doing it right. What the fuck was this guy doing? What were you doing, son?
I completely forgot about that until
What
you brought it up.
are you doing? But here's the twist. Here's the twist. That's reality.
I know.
I've been to too many martial arts schools. That guy exists. I don't know what happens between the words coming out of your mouth, your physical movement, and it going into the person's brain. But this person exists, and
I know.
so he needed to be in the movie, but he's my worst.
And now you're on a list.
He's on the goddamn list.
I'm glad I picked a character.
Worst fight. What was my worst fight?
We're gonna end on the high note or whatever it is.
Okay. Worst fight, I'll go first.
All right.
Worst fight for me is Roper's first fight. The fight where they're betting.
Yes.
All of that is cool. And it's funny because the dude's like, I can't believe I lost, and that, I love all that. And I know he's throwing the fight, so it wouldn't be that way otherwise. But when it's time for him to win, I think he just hits the guy in the nuts and it's over. The fight tells a story. It needs to be there because this is character. This is a character moment.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not hard. It doesn't make me cringe or anything like that. It's just out of all the fights in the movie, I'm gonna pick one. I guess I'm gonna go with this one.
So already mentioned it. I kind of got my categories mixed up. Yeah, I got on my soapbox. So I mentioned my worst part of the movie was the Williams-Hahn fight.
Yeah.
And then I came back and said another worst part of the movie was, whatever it was, the lack of tournament structure.
Oh, okay.
That was technically supposed to be my worst part of the movie. Was the storytelling structure, rough edge, and my worst fight again is Hans Williams because it comes late enough the movie that I feel like they've established at least Williams' pedigree, Williams' capabilities.
He's had the flashback fight with the cops. He's had the
fight in the arena. And
you can see that he's just
I don't think the choreography is all that solid. I hate the switching to the first person and trying to watch Hans actor throw some kind of wet noodle wide punches. They don't look very good. And then he falls into the weird opium room or whatever with the ladies giggling. There's even one point where he falls back. There's a lady giggling and she's got glasses. He falls back on her and nobody moves. And I'm like,
breaks her glasses.
What's happening? And then he gets up and she's still there giggling. She's got like part of one of her sunglasses broken or it's just, it's weird.
When I saw that as a kid, I didn't know what the hell was going on.
It's weird. I don't like it. I don't think it was well done. From a story perspective, I don't like it. That's right.
I went first for best fight, so you get to go first for best fight.
Oh, man. Lee O'Hara.
Oh, okay.
Lee's speed.
Yeah, it's stupid.
He's fast in nearly all the fights, but in this one in particular, I think they're trying to emphasize the fact that he wants to beat this guy because of it's the reason his sister's dead. They probably also want, because they built up this guy as being Han's second in command, baddest ass dude. There's a move where O'Hara's already getting trash, and he runs to do a flying kick, and Lee just falls backwards, lets it come, and just straight up kicks him, in the groin. It's so smooth. And Lee's punches and kicks are efficient. They are, oh man, they're fast. And I don't think any of the other fights he intentionally choreographed this level of, I am kicking the tar out of you. Mm-hmm. None of the other fights did he have this scripted or choreographed this way. And he was on another level. the actor, the character, it didn't matter. And I mean, there's a lot of other things in a lot of the other fights, but as you've mentioned, Lee knows how to tell a story in fighting, and watching it is the story of the fight to me.
That fight is fantastic.
And
My honorable mention is Bolo versus everyone. So there's a part in the movie after Bruce Lee does his first infiltration, and Han finds out that somebody was snooping around, and the guards were unable to catch this guy, and he makes the guards that couldn't catch the guy fight Bolo, and Bolo waylays.
It's so bad.
And the one guy that tries to run away, and they all stop him
And throw him back to Bolo.
It's great. But my best fight is gonna be Lee versus Han.
Okay.
Lee does get injured in the fight. It tells a story. It's the culmination of everything that's going down. It's got funny parts in it.
It does.
It's got my favorite music in the soundtrack in it, and that music is only like 7 seconds. That's my best fight in the movie. And I'm not going to go on and on because everybody's seen this movie, but that's my best fight.
I would have thought you would have picked Bolo Roper.
I did not. So let's talk about Bolo. No, as my best fight, Bolo Roper.
I know you really like Bolo.
And
there's.
But let's talk about that.
The choreograph interaction between them is really that opening 7 moves between the two of them, where it's one still shot and there's like 3 or 4 between one, and one goes on the defensive, backs up, 3 or 4 from another back, all in a still shot. It's fast. Both of them are putting in some speed and some power.
I used to hate that fight because I was much more snobbish, and I was like, Jim Kelly knows martial arts, Bruce Lee knows martial arts. John Saxon knows what Bruce Lee taught him, and he's doing the best he can with what he got. But this last time I watched it, I liked it a lot more.
Yeah.
He did move smoother than I gave him credit for.
And I don't think the whole fight is great.
No, I'm getting to that part.
Okay.
Because he kicks him in the nut. I mean, like he was doing, but he did 2 things that Bruce Lee said to do in an interview and some other stuff, not unrelated to Enter the Dragon. When he was getting his ass whooped and they were on the ground, he bit him, and he kicked him in the fucking nuts because you got to do what you got to do. Roper is you got to do what you got to do ass mofo, and I was just so much more on board with it. I've seen this movie a billion times, and for some reason, this time I was so much more on board with it. So I'm with you on the road. I didn't used to like Roper that much. Now I like him probably just as much as you do. And that fight is good. But it wasn't going to make my best.
Yeah. Like again, I at least wanted to mention it on some level because the opening itself, out of all of the fights, I think that was the one where it was the most evenly matched between the fighters and the back and forth.
Well, we made it through. So now I just have a couple things. I have best sound effect. I have a best sound effect. Now, I don't know if you got one. You have a best facial expression. What you got?
All of them. Both Bolo and Lee specifically are very animated with their facial expressions while they fight.
My best sound effect. You brought up earlier when Bruce Lee and Han jump up in the air and Bruce just gives him his belly. Well, in the second time they jump up, and Bruce kicks Han in the face, and Han goes.
Like, there's a lot of cheesy elements in this movie, either the dialogue or some of the fighting and taking hits, especially from the extras or stunt double henchmen dudes. And I think this is just part of the movie being kind of dated. So there's just some goofy cheesiness here and there, but some of them you pause and rewind and watch again because it's funny.
I'll end it with this. In the scene where Han is talking to John Saxon, Roper's character, and Opium, right? He asks him to, would he be okay? So he's sort of asking him, would he be okay with like coming aboard or whatever and all this other stuff,
Right.
or do you see any problem with this or whatever the fuck? And John Saxon responds with, no. And the way he says no, deep cut. Have you ever seen A Nightmare on Elm Street? He plays Nancy's dad in A Nightmare on Elm Street. When Nancy is talking to Rod and Rod is in jail, I don't remember the conversation. I think at the end, Rod is like, you believe me, or you don't think I did it, do you? Or something like that. And she turns to him and she says, no. She says it the exact same way John Saxon said no in Enter the Dragon.
No. Hey, you think I did it?
No.
And I just wonder if maybe it's because he played her father and he gave her acting tips. Next time you watch Nightmare on Elm Street, just keep that in mind.
No.
And I know he's never seen Nightmare on Elm Street because he doesn't watch horror movies that much.
No,
but,
I don't.
But you ain't missing any. I mean, I think it's good, but you don't need to see it. All right. So, Enter the Dragon. We did it. We made it. We can do some stupid shit now. Well, I mean, we've done some stupid shit, but you know what I'm saying? We can do some other stupid shit.
Well, we have already talked about it. I'm going to remind you.
Oh, I know.
The next
and
movie.
I want to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And
so, next movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
89.
Yeah.
Is it 89, 90? First one.
The first one. Yeah.
Very first one.
I think it's 90 something.
We are going to do, well,
all right. That's been Into the Dragon. And this has been The Real Truth. Until next time, peace.